Put a chick in it and make it gay. It's probably not the best thing as a general rule when someone endeavors in their actual life to act more like the South Park parody version of themselves, but don't nobody tell that to Kathy Kennedy, by golly, because she is letting her South Park fly. I don't see any alternative at this point except to conclude, 1, that Kathy's trying to force her own ouster, 2, that she really has lost her mind and wants to light Lucasfilm on fire just to watch it burn down like a meth lab by the Kuala Lumpur dockyards on a Saturday night, or 3, some combination of number 1 and number 2. But in any event, for those of you who don't know, there's been a new Star Wars film announced, a continuation of the main saga, as if we wanted one, featuring the return of the character nobody ever wanted to come back, the one and only, the icon, the legend, the Mary Sue straight out of Jakku, the mewling Quim from the Outer Rim. Put your hands together and give a warm curmudgeon arena welcome to the amazing Wonder Ray. Played with verve and pluck by the inimitable Daisy Ridley, a young lady born with the terrible affliction of glutiosa absentia, the second most severe case in world history, if I'm not mistaken, after Brie Larson. And they both didn't let this cruel disease affect their dreams of becoming huge movie stars who help murder much-loved franchises and are widely reviled by their respective fan bases. And look, I don't think there was anybody who was unwilling to get behind a Star Wars trilogy with a female lead. Just don't have her be an obnoxious, insufferable Mary Sue. And could she at least be fun to look at? Coming or going? Could we at least get one of the two? Back in a world where I had only ever seen Brie Larson in 21 Jump Street, in which, by the way, she is only photographed in skirts and dresses, so the directors of that one, they were obviously acutely aware of her condition. The first time I saw Daisy Ridley from behind in episode 7, I said, shit, that girl has got no ass and the legs of a freaking praying mantis. So is that like a conscious part of the whole smashing the patriarchy thing? All our film heroes have to be obnoxious girl bosses, and they all have to have the figure of a 10-year-old boy? Because just no male gaze for you, asshole. You will give your full attention to my truth and my lived experience. And just in case there was the slightest doubt about what kind of picture this is going to be, get a load of who Kathy hired to direct the thing. If your loins weren't already tingling with delight over the prospect of seeing the new adventures of Rey Palpatine, maybe they will start when I introduce the only kind of person you would want at the helm of a Star Wars movie. A Pakistani-Canadian feminist documentary filmmaker who hasn't ever directed a narrative feature, I don't believe. Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy. No, I didn't just sneeze. That is the person's real name. That's the name you'll see when the fanfare hits at the end of the movie after Rey has defeated the resurrected Emperor Palpatine. Oh wait, she did that already. But man, this director, let's call her Don't Squeeze the Charmeen. There's been a few interview clips of hers making the rounds the last day or two, and it's not overstating things to say hating men might be the central defining feature of her character and identity. I think if you called her a man-hating feminist, she might thank you for the lovely compliment. Listening to her talk, it's like getting a women's studies lecture from a liquor store clerk. What? Hey, damn it, if Joe Biden can make that joke and go on to become the president, allegedly, then I can make that joke too. And as excited as I know you already are, having found out there's going to be a new Rey movie with a man-hating feminist director, your excitement is going to increase exponentially when I tell you about Charmeen's vision for the bold, hairy, arm-pitted future of the Star Wars universe. Because if you were one of the 0 people who thought the problem with the last trilogy was that it wasn't female enough, and Dr. Charmeen has got the cure for what ails you. But wait, I hear you say, didn't the sequel trilogy have a lead character who was an obnoxiously perfect Mary Sue? And didn't the sequel trilogy make a concerted point of humiliating the male legacy characters and killing them off? And wasn't there an honest-to-God purple-haired feminist gender studies admiral whose sole narrative purpose was telling the male characters how very toxic they are? Well, yes, and yes, but none of that means a goddamn thing, says Charmeen. Because those pictures, despite all of their good, noble feminist intentions, they were still directed by disgusting white male colonizers, and we just can't have that. We need to have our man-hating come from a place of authentic man-hatred, because it's more authentic that way. Charmine says it is way past time that a woman finish the job of burning the Star Wars brand completely to the ground down to the last flickering ember. To which Kathy said, wait, what am I, a fucking potted plant over here? I was here ripping out the still beating heart of Star Wars back when you were shooting freaking documentaries in some mud brick hovel in goddamn Pakistan, bitch. And you know what I'd like to see? If we are indeed going whole hog man-hating feminist in the next picture. Speaking of things that are long overdue, how about a vagina-shaped lightsaber? How long are we going to keep sending the message to impressionable little girls that all the coolest weapons look like penises? Star Wars Episode 10, The Vegeta Monologues, coming to a megaplex near you, spring 2026. From high atop the battlements of Castle Curmudgeon, where we turn from a story about females with no asses to a story about a female with a very large, quite magnificent ass. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America and all ships at sea. Welcome to the program. I am your eponymous host and humble servant. Topsy was born somewhere in East Asia around 1875, which is fitting when you're an Asian elephant. At just a few years of age, she was captured in the wild by elephant traders and then underwent what must have been a long and quite unpleasant sea crossing to New York City, after having been sold into the ownership of the Four-Paw Circus, Adam Four-Paw, owner and proprietor. And what are the odds of that? Your name is Four-Paw, and you wind up in the circus animal business. You're just like that kid named Jack Asshammer who wound up being a porn star. Now, Topsy, she gets a reputation as a problem elephant, let's say. Like a Brie Larson type, but with an ass. Well, a Brie Larson type with an ass that kills people, but more on that later. The point being, it's an interesting anniversary today because 121 years ago, Sunday, 4 January 1903, Topsy the elephant became the star of what, according to our staff's thorough and intrepid research, is demonstrably and verifiably history's first ever snuff film. The circus was going out of business, see, and Mr. Forepaw, he found buyers for all the rest of the animals, but nobody wanted Topsy. Not even the ASPCA was willing to take Topsy. Are you fucking kidding me? We don't want your psycho man-killing elephant. Kind of the same way Jordan and Egypt react when you ask them to take the Palestinians. Dude, what? If Joe Biden can tell a guy he ain't black and still go on to be the president, allegedly, then I can make a joke comparing Palestinians to an angry man-eating female elephant lynching victim. God damn it. And this is one of those cases where, look, I'm always the first one to say that people in former generations weren't that much different from ourselves in terms of their basic sense of right and wrong, that we don't have much business, generally speaking, shaking a morally superior finger at them back through time. But there are times, and this is one of them, where you think, my God, man, we were fucking savages. And not all that long ago either. Which is to say, there are certain times when even I, staunch defender of the moral scruples of the dead and buried, am willing to concede that on some fronts we are indeed vastly superior to our progenitors of 3 or 4 generations ago. First of all, just the whole idea of, okay, we're opening a new amusement park, we're shutting down our old zoo, we've got this man-eating bitch of an elephant that we can't get rid of, so you know what we'll do? We will drum up publicity by strangling her fat ass with some big fucking ropes and a couple of steam engine winches. And we'll sell tickets. It'll be great. The kids will love it. Call in the bouncy castle. Get me the creepy clown with the balloon animals. All that shit. What's that? Oh, Jim Eagle raises a good point. All clowns are fucking creepy, so I've been guilty of making a distinction with no difference. And second of all, consider this. The freaking ASPCA actually negotiated and signed off on the details of this elephant lynching. Yes, you heard that right. The animal rights activists. They got a look at the first version of the plan and they said, yeah, I think strangling her in public with some big fucking ropes and a couple steam engine winches and selling tickets for it, that might just be a little bit too callous and barbaric for our tastes here at the ASPCA, but I'll tell you what we'll do. If you also feed that bitch a whole shitload of cyanide and then shock the hell out of her with, let's say 5,000 volts of good old-fashioned electricity, well, then we would be just fine with you strangling her with the ropes and the steam engines and whatnot. We, the animal rights activists, will give our official imprimatur and seal of approval to this public elephant lynching just as long as you kill that bitch 3 different ways until she's goddamn good and dead, because that's the humane thing to do. Christ, at least they didn't have to go full Rasputin and unload their revolvers on her and then dump her in a frozen river, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. We're sending Topsy to her doom, and we haven't even gotten to know her all that well yet. See, when she got over here from Asia, her new owners at the circus, they named her Topsy in honor of a character from the Harriet Beecher Stowe novel Uncle Tom's Cabin, and not in honor of her large, supple, magnificent breasts. By February of 1877, the circus was billing her quite falsely as the first elephant ever born on American soil. But you know who had a circus in direct competition with the Four-Paw Circus? A gentleman by the name of Phineas Taylor Barnum, P.T. to his friends. And if there was anything P.T. Barnum couldn't countenance, it was somebody else being a bigger lying charlatan bullshitter than he was. And especially somebody in the same business as him, in the same city. This aggression will not stand. And how did Barnum know the thing about Topsy being American-born was all just a bunch of elephant shit? Because, duh, he got his elephants from the same elephant guy. Which I can't imagine there were all that many options. I need somebody to trap me an elephant in freaking Bangladesh or wherever, stick that motherfucker on a boat, and send it to me here in New York City. Get me a list of names. I just doubt you could do all that much comparison shopping, is all I'm saying. So Barnum, believe it or not, he pays for the elephant guy to come all the way to New York and give a sworn deposition saying, nope, Topsy wasn't born in America. I don't care what her fake social security card says. I trapped her here in the wild myself, in Asia. Game over. Case closed. And you wouldn't think something like that would be all that big of a damn deal, but in the rough and tumble world of 1870s New York City circuses, every advantage had to be played to the hilt. And the Four-Paw Circus lost a lot of credibility and a lot of business over the revelation that Topsy was really, in fact, an illegal alien. By the time she was fully grown, Topsy was around 10 foot high, around 20 foot long, weighed in the neighborhood of about 4 tons. I feel rude talking about a woman's weight, even when it's a long-deceased pachyderm. Is that weird of me? Sorry, Topsy. And there's a reason why you should say sorry when you do Topsy wrong, because Topsy will straight up smoke a motherfucker like it ain't no thing. Tuesday, 27 May, 1902. Spectator James Fielding Blunt, age unknown, residence Brooklyn, stumbles stinking-ass drunk into the menagerie tent of the Four-Paw and Sells Brothers Circus, where Topsy and her elephant compatriots are tied together in a line, just shooting the shit, minding their own damn business, and this idiot starts teasing them, starts throwing sand in their eyes, starts trying to make them drink whiskey, just being a real fucking sack of shit, in other words. Topsy tries her best to be cool about it. Topsy will tolerate a lot. More than she gets credit for, in the opinion of this reporter. Right up until this jackass takes his lit cigar and burns her on the tip of her trunk. Reading here from Wikipedia, quote, Topsy threw Blunt to the ground with her trunk and then crushed him with either her head, knees, or foot, or some combination thereof. Newspaper reports on Blunt's death contained what seemed to be exaggerated accounts of Topsy's man-killing past, with claims that she killed up to 12 men, but with more common accounts that during the 1900 season she had killed 2 Four-Paw and Sells Brothers Circus workers, one in Paris, Texas, and one in Waco, Texas, end quote. And I'm suddenly reminded of, remember the Blackfish movie? The psycho killer whale with the floppy fin? What was his name? Tillamook. That's it. Tillamook like a motherfucker, baby. But in that movie, there was a similar story about some drunk asshole who tried to climb into his tank in the middle of the night, and he just murdered that bastard, tossed him around like a rag doll, and then threw his corpse to the trainers when they showed up in the morning. And I get a similar vibe with Topsy. I feel like Topsy and Tillamook could have been cross-species soulmates. But Topsy's reputation as a deranged man-killing psychopath was actually pretty good for business, right up until it was time to get rid of her, and there were about as many takers as there are guys who want to gaze into Phoebe Waller-Bridge's weird rectangular shovel face and listen to her shrill, hectoring voice while making sweet, sweet love to her, which is to say, like 0, none. Not even if we're on a desert island after a global nuclear apocalypse and it's down to me and her to repopulate the species, is all I'm saying. God, if you came here looking for a vision of hell today, behold, there it is. You're welcome. But not only could they not find a buyer for Topsy, they couldn't even give the old girl away for free, including to the aforementioned ASPCA. I guess it's true what they say about nobody wants a man-killing elephant. Except, no, they don't actually say that, and you know why? Because tell that to frickin' Hannibal. That guy did some of his best work on a man-killing elephant. But sadly, unlike in Hannibal's world, there was no place for a 28-year-old mass-murdering female elephant in the less enlightened world that was New York City in the last quarter of the 19th century. And so the circus sent out the word that we are gonna murder this bitch good and proper on Sunday the 4th of January. So bring the kiddies, there's gonna be a bouncy castle and a creepy balloon animal clown and all of that shit. But Topsy, much to the consternation of her prospective murderers, she wasn't going out without one last show of dignity and defiance. She was supposed to exit her enclosure, go across a small bridge, and then into a clearing where the instruments of her execution had all been arrayed. The carrots laced with 460 grams of potassium cyanide, the electrical generator and all its associated wires, and of course the big fucking ropes and the steam engine winches, which I like to imagine if there was a bidding war over any of this stuff, like this one guy said, "Sir, on behalf of the Acme Steam Engine Company, we'd be real honored if you'd help you lynch this here elephant. We'll do it at no charge. Maybe just let us put a couple of signs around, maybe pass out some business cards." And you know who else wanted a piece of this thing? Thomas goddamn freaking Alva Edison, that's who. Well, actually, not so much. His movie company did send a crew and film the thing, and it did great business in the nickel-operated machines that were the movie theaters of their day. In fact, according to some sources, it was the most popular motion picture in America for a time, but Edison himself wasn't running the day-to-day of his film operation at that point, and he had no direct involvement in the filming of this event, and he certainly wasn't present at the thing. I guess somehow in the public consciousness, the electrocution of Topsy has been conflated with being an event that happened during the Edison versus Westinghouse AC versus DC current war, but it's totally not. This was 10 years after the end of that current war. Edison's only involvement was that his company happened to show up and film the thing. But all unfortunate historical misconceptions aside, what then of Topsy? It's hard not to feel bad for the old girl, like she might have been happier living out her life anonymously in the East Asian jungle, instead of coming to America and killing drunk cigar-smoking motherfuckers and getting lynched in history's first snuff film. Topsy had most of the good things taken away from her. None of it was fair, but you know what? She has got two things that Brie Larson will never have. A big, magnificent ass and a box office #1. Bless your big elephant heart, Topsy. You are the real badass girl boss, Mary Sue, as far as we're concerned. Thanks very much indeed for watching. See you Sunday. Blast radius 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. Do not comply. Get off my lawn. God damn it, I didn't do anything about that yet.